CHANNA vendor stabbed and killed at STABROEK Market. NANDLALL sues Ferguson for slander. GECOM suspended 3 of its officers. In the region, Cuba banks suspend US dollar deposits amid a bid to end sanctions. And internationally, COVID weary Japan gingerly approaches the Olympics starting line. Greetings and welcome to another edition of Channel 2 Headline News Update. I am Bibi Bacchus. Thank you for joining us. In this report, Esther Sobers tells us that a popular CHANNA vendor at the STABROEK Market area was stabbed and killed during a dispute. Here's more.
Police are investigating the murder of a popular boiled channel vendor who was killed yesterday during the rush hour at the STABROEK Market area. Dead is 35-year-old Robert Bissett, also known as Brick, of Caneview Avenue, South Rumvelt. Bissett has been a known food vendor in the STABROEK Market area for over 10 years. According to the police report, the incident occurred around 4:30 p.m. between Bissett and another vendor. The argument stemmed from the area where Bissett was setting up his stand to begin sales. Headline News spoke to the grieving deceased wife, who recounted what had transpired.
So people say that they had altercation over the cat, because he tell the man he mustn't sleep on the cat, he must sleep on the cat and break it. Come and catch him sleeping on the cat and like they had attacking. From what they said, there's like them two had some face, because both of them had weapon, but they said me try and find out the upper hand and just like at this man in the ground and just left you alone and go for a walk with me, because like he's a sane person, you want to do something like that, and this man just come from behind and do it. Yeah, I know the person from description, so I know. So.
I don't know him like
When I used to work with my father, I did so I wouldn't get to know the individual. I used to work with my father and I get to know him, working with my father.
A few people who witnessed the ordeal in the area said during the argument, Bissett pulled out an ice pick and threatened the other vendor. The other vendor pulled out a knife of his own and pushed Bissett away from him. Bissett later armed himself with an axe as the argument intensified and started to chase him behind the other vendor, who remained armed with a knife. The suspect eventually fell to the ground after being chased by the CHANNA vendor, and it was while the CHANNA vendor, Robert Bissett, was walking away from the scene, the suspect got up and stabbed him repeatedly to the back and the sides of his body. The injured man managed to run across the nearby police outpost at the market, where he collapsed. He was rushed to the Georgetown Hospital, where he died receiving emergency treatment. The suspect was later arrested in Cam Street area. Investigations are ongoing. For Channel 2 Headline News, Esther Sobers.
Thanks, Esther. A night of drinking has resulted in a father being on the run after stabbing his son. According to reports, the victim, 19-year-old O'Brien Punai, lives with his 43-year-old father at number 55 Village Quarantine, Berbice. He went home on Monday evening and met his father and his friends consuming alcohol in the house. He retired to bed but could not sleep due to the noise his father and his friends were making. Punai said he went downstairs and asked them to quiet down. This triggered an argument between his father and himself. The father armed himself with a screwdriver and dealt him a stab to the left side of his chest. As a result, Punai fled the yard and was rescued by a neighbor who rushed him to the Skellon Public Hospital. He subsequently self-discharged and went to his mother's home and told her that he was okay before heading back to his home. However, on Tuesday morning, he returned to his mother's residence and collapsed in front of her gate. He was taken to the Port Moran Public Hospital and later transferred to the New Amsterdam Public Hospital, where he remains a patient. Efforts were made to locate the suspect, but he could not be contacted. An investigation is ongoing. The Guyana Elections Commission has suspended 3 of its officers. There is more. On Tuesday, the Guyana Elections Commission sent Chief Elections Officer Keith Lowenfield, Deputy Chief Elections Officer Roxanne Myers, and the 2020 General and Regional Election Region 4 Returning Officer Clement Mingo on leave pending a decision by Chairman Justice Retired Claudette Singh. GECOM has unanimously agreed that the trio proceeds on their respective annual leave with effect from Monday 28th of June 2021. This decision was necessary to facilitate the Commission's deliberation on the 3 motions tabled by the government-nominated commissioners seeking the immediate dismissal of those persons, as well as the course of action to be adopted to conclude this process. The CEO, Leonfield, will proceed on 42 days annual leave. The DCEO, Myers, will be on 120 days leave, while Mingo will be on 35 days leave. The Commission intends to conclude these discussions within the shortest possible time. Don't go away. After the break, we have Attorney General sues Member of Parliament for slander, and truck driver was killed in an accident at the John Finance Wharf.
Survival Shopping Complex brings to you its delivery service, Shop Through WhatsApp. This process is simple. All you need to do is call or message your grocery list to 613-9683 and we will select your items for you and have them delivered directly to you, even out of town. This is convenient because we can stay on the phone with you as we select your favorite brands. We're happy to do your shopping for you. Contact us on WhatsApp today and shop Price Smart at Survival Shopping Complex.
Are you looking for men's suits for that wedding, prom, or special party? Or maybe you need to update your wardrobe with a modern fit or a new color for work? Search no more, because John Lewis Styles is the perfect men's suit store. Come see us on Waterloo Street, and our friendly staff will help you choose the perfect size, color, and fit. Complement that suit with a stunning shirt and tie, matching bow tie and suspenders, cufflinks, or even a pair of shiny dress shoes. You will love the way you look. John Lewis Styles. Simply different.
When you need money and you gotta get it fast, Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop is the place for that confidential transaction in a quiet and secure location. You'll get the highest value per pennyweight for your gold and also enjoy the lowest interest rates and longest payback period too. Yes, for that instant transaction to solve a pressing financial problem. That Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop, 46 Boyle Place, that's between the Ministry of Housing on Brick Dam and White Castle Fish Shop. Be your first and only choice. Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop, safe and sound, solid and secure, always there for you. Telephone 231-7878 and 223-8955.
Tastes so good. It's got to be made with Alabama Baker wheat flour. Produced from quality soft winter wheat and quality enzymes to give a superior product that's guaranteed to be luscious, delightful to taste, and stays fresher longer. Alabama Baker wheat flour is perfect for breads, roti, puri, pastries, chow mein, pastas, and many other delights. Imported and distributed by Alabama Trading. 6566 Robb Street, Borda, and 23 Lombard Street. Telephone 225-5800.
Welcome to Kissoon's Furniture. Find everything you need for your home and more under one roof in our newly decorated showroom. Our locally crafted furniture has been perfected over the last 60 years. From our hands to your home, we also bring to you our newly introduced lines of imported furniture and sleep center, where you can find a wide range of beds and mattresses. Kissoon's Furniture, furnishing homes for over 60 years.
Good girl forget things.
What's the problem, Granny? I want money for borrow for those surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, Lot 238 South Road, Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lender's, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again. Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Welcome back. A truck driver was killed in an accident at the John Finance Wharf. Esther Sobers has that story.
An accident at the John Fernandez Wharf on Water Street, Georgetown on Tuesday claimed the life of 36-year-old Sheldon Wilson, a truck driver of hand-in-Velt, Mahaica, East Coast, Narara. A police report noted that Wilson was driving a truck, GNN 7207, when he went to the wharf around 12:30 hours to collect feed from a boat. After collecting the feed, he began driving the truck, but the truck went over the rails and into the river. Several persons jumped into the river to rescue Wilson. He was taken out of the truck by a laborer of John Fernandez Wharf and later taken to the St. Joseph Mercy Hospital, where he was pronounced dead. For Channel 2 Headline News, Esther Sobers.
Thanks, Esther. The Civil Defense Commission on Tuesday received $15.6 million in cash and supplies from 3 private businesses to support the National Flood Relief Program. Director General of CDC Lieutenant Colonel Craig collected a check valued at $10 million from JHI Incorporated, which will enable the CDC to purchase more necessities for flood-affected persons. The CDC's Deputy Director General Major Laurie Bunnan, who also received donations today, said the private sector's support has been commendable.
The private sector in any disaster, the CDC would reach out to first. As we look at the distribution on both the contribution from the side of the government and the side of the private sector, with regards to the donation, it mirrors closely as to what
the operations manager of Ghana Logistics and Support Services Incorporated, Vincent Troy, who presented a check on behalf of the JHI Incorporated, urged more businesses to support the CDC.
This relief is to assist the CDC in the recent flooding of Guyana. We're hoping that other companies could step forward and assist in this very sad situation and take the initiative to improve Guyana.
Major Benhams received 750 hampers of cleaning and food supplies valued at $5 million from Massey Stores Guyana. The general manager, Robert Singh, said the company takes its corporate social responsibility seriously.
The executive and our team at Massey Guyana has recognized this national disaster, and we are very happy that we'll be able to assist in the situation that is being experienced by a number of our Guyanese.
Singh said this is their second donation. They have made a previous donation of over $1 million in other items and will continue to donate. Meanwhile, Farfan and Mendez Limited donated 6 drums of black disinfectant valued at some $600,000 to assist in the cleanup phase when the floodwaters recede. The private sector has partnered with the CDC since the beginning of the floods in May, and it continues to support the flood relief operations of the Disaster Response Agency. Attorney General Anil Nandlall is suing Member of Parliament Annette Ferguson for slander over an allegation she made about his allegedly illegal card distribution. Here's more. On Tuesday, Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs Anil Nandlall moved to the High Court to initiate legal actions against opposition Member of Parliament Annette Ferguson. Nandlall is suing Ferguson for slander over allegedly false statements she made, claiming that on Elections Day, March 2, 2020, he somehow engaged in the illegal distribution of identification cards. Nandlall is suing Ferguson for a total of $20 million. He wants her to pay $10 million for general damages and another $10 million for aggravated damages. He also wants an order prohibiting Ferguson or anyone associated with her from making similar or identical defamatory statements in the future. Nandlall claims that Ferguson made the statement at a roundtable discussion hosted by the Europe Union Observer Team on March 21, 2021 at the Arthur Chung Conference Center. Nandlall believes she intended to imply that he committed a criminal and electoral offense, both of which are punishable by law. Nandlall is being represented by Satram and Satram Law Firm. Don't go away after the break. Cuba banks suspend US dollars deposit amid bid to end sanctions, and COVID-weary Japan gingerly approaches the Olympics starting line. But before that, here is the Demerara Harbor Bridge retraction schedule.
problem, Granny?
I want money for borrow for those surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, lot 238 South Road Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lender's, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Welcome to Kissoon's Furniture. Find everything you need for your home and more under one roof in our newly decorated showroom. Our locally crafted furniture has been perfected over the last 60 years. From our hands to your home, we also bring to you our newly introduced lines of imported furniture and sleep center, where you can find a wide range of beds and mattresses. Kissoon's Furniture, furnishing homes for over 60 years.
For decades, milk has remained the same. Until now. Introducing the Great Dairy Full Cream Milk from Alabama Trading. Enriched with vitamins A to D and calcium to promote healthy teeth, strong bones, and vitality. Great Dairy Milk is delicious and fortified to encourage healthy cell growth within the body. No wonder it's the #1 brand of milk produced in Ireland. Now available nationwide in 400-gram packages at leading supermarkets and wholesale vendors. Distributed by Alabama Trading.
When you need money and you gotta get it fast, Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop is the place for that confidential transaction in a quiet and secure location. You'll get the highest value per pennyweight for your gold and also enjoy the lowest interest rates and longest payback period too. Yes, for that instant transaction to solve a pressing financial problem. That Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop, 46 Boyle Place, that's between the Ministry of Housing on Brickdam and White Castle Fish Shop. Be your first and only choice. Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop, safe and sound, solid and secure, always there for you. Telephone 231-7878 and 223-8955.
Survival Shopping Complex brings to you its delivery service, Shop Through WhatsApp. This process is simple. All you need to do is call or message your grocery list to 613-9683 and we will select your items for you and have them delivered directly to you, even out of town. This is convenient because we can stay on the phone with you as we select your favorite brands. We're happy to do your shopping for you. Contact us on WhatsApp today and shop price smart at Survival Shopping Complex.
Are you looking for men's suits for that wedding, prom, or special party? Or maybe you need to update your wardrobe with a modern fit or a new color for work? Search no more, because John Lewis Styles is the perfect men's suit store. Come see us on Waterloo. Simply different.
Welcome back. Now we take a look at news in the region and around the world. Indigenous protesters and police have clashed outside Brazil's Congress building, suspending a session inside. Several demonstrators have been injured and hospitalized, while 3 policemen were also wounded by indigenous arrows. Al Jazeera's Monica Yannick reports.
It started as a peaceful protest to stop a controversial bill, one that will open protected indigenous lands to commercial farming and mining. But it ended in a battle in the heart of Brazil's capital. Security forces fired stun grenades, tear gas, and pepper spray against indigenous protesters who were marching to the Congress building. Several demonstrators were injured and hospitalized, while 3 policemen were also wounded by indigenous arrows.
But the use of police force was disproportionate. 11 indigenous protesters were hit by rubber bullets. Some of our elders fell during the stampede and some of our women fainted.
The smoke and tear gas entered the Congress building, forcing legislators out. 4 congressmen who defend the indigenous cause negotiated with security forces and escorted the protesters away. They said the voting would resume on Wednesday.
There's a lot of pressure from agricultural businessmen who want to cut down our forest and who have the support of President Bolsonaro. The bill would also allow the government to reduce indigenous territories, which have already been demarcated, and can stop us from claiming more lands.
The battle is far from over. Several hundred indigenous leaders continue to camp outside of Congress because they say they're fighting for their survival and they're running out of time. Monica Yanakiev, Al Jazeera, Rio de Janeiro.
A sanctions battle closer to home for the United States is with Cuba. The communist country is appealing to the United Nations General Assembly to end a decades-long trade embargo that it calls inhumane. It comes as banks in Cuba suspend deposits of US dollars, making life harder for people. Al Jazeera's Andy Galichar reports.
President Joe Biden came to office promising changes in US policy toward Cuba. But months after he moved into the White House, sanctions remain in place and diplomacy is strained at best. The crippling effects of the US embargo recently led to the suspension of cash deposits in US dollars, a major source of income for ordinary Cubans.
It affects me from the point of view that I have relatives abroad who send me foreign currency, but well, we will look for other ways for it to arrive.
It's all a far cry from President Obama's historic visit in 2016, when relations were normalized, the US embassy reopened and travel to Cuba allowed. President Biden, it seems, is not following suit.
A Cuba policy shift or additional steps is currently not among the president's top foreign policy priorities, but it is an issue, of course, we will remain engaged in and focused on.
In essence, that means retaining hundreds of tough measures put in place by President Trump, including redesignating Cuba a state sponsor of terrorism. Critics of the embargo say despite calls for democracy and improved human rights in Cuba, changes can be made.
They want to see some evidence of progress, politically, economically, but that's not necessarily an impediment to perhaps taking initial steps to get rid of some of the more strict or tough sanctions that the Trump administration put in place.
Major modifications to such a complex and long-standing web of laws would need congressional approval, something not likely to happen, but the reason behind Biden's lack of action may be more political.
During the last presidential election here in Florida, Democrats suffered losses in part because President Trump was so tough on Cuba. Fear of communism runs deep among both Cuban American and Hispanic voters, and support for the embargo remains high. The Biden administration's keenly aware of just how crucial those votes are, reason enough perhaps to keep the status quo.
For Cuban Americans like Ingrid Arenas, the blame lays squarely with the Cuban government.
They don't allow any young people that, of course, have new ideas, have a new method, have a good hopes. No, they don't allow anybody who thinks different do something. So it has to be a change. The only way for Cuban people is a change.
Speaking in Havana late last year, Cuba's foreign minister condemned the embargo, saying it brought nothing but pain.
The U.S. government has tightened in extreme and unprecedented ways the blockade against Cuba, taking advantage of the terrible conditions caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. The blockade has always been a criminal act, a genocidal act as established by the Geneva Convention, an act of economic warfare.
For more than 25 years, the UN General Assembly has voted in favor of ending the US embargo on Cuba.
And internationally, it is exactly 1 month before the start of the Tokyo Olympics. Delayed by a year due to the coronavirus pandemic, the decision to go ahead is highly controversial in Japan. Organizers insist all the necessary precautions will be put in place to make sure the games are safe. Al Jazeera's Bob McBurden reports.
With 1 month to go before the games start, this was the rehearsal for the opening ceremony, with busloads of staff playing the part of Olympians. But the organisers are still unable to predict for sure how this Olympics will play out before the closing ceremony. Also being put on show for the media, the Athletes' Village, which will be home to 11,000 participants. It was originally planned for many of them to eat together in vast dining halls, but instead, competitors will be asked to eat alone. With extensive precautions in place, the organisers are insisting these games will be safe.
I've stayed in the athletes' villages for a total of 11 times, 7 times as an athlete and 4 times as a team leader. But without a doubt, this village is by far the best.
There'll be restrictions on when and where spectators can cheer or sing, and their numbers will be capped at 50%, which may be further restricted by the time the games get underway. What's more, spectators from overseas are banned, dealing a big blow to businesses like Mamoru Tanaka's sports bar in downtown Tokyo, already struggling with business down 2/3 during the pandemic.
We were hoping the games would give us a boost, but I'm torn because having more customers can cause a COVID cluster.
Equally torn, it seems, is public opinion in Japan about going ahead with these games.
People are asked to make sacrifices and put up with the restrictions, but the government wants to hold the games with spectators. I don't understand them.
We've waited a year and we should just go ahead with a stadium full of spectators.
There's not enough information about people coming from outside Japan and if they've been vaccinated. I'm concerned the virus will spread further.
As official Olympic posters are unveiled, there are still so many unanswered questions. But finally, the biggest one is now seemingly resolved. The games will go on. Rob McBride, Al Jazeera.
And that is it for today's regional and international news. Here now is your 3-day weather forecast. That is all for this edition of Channel 2 Headline News Update. Tune in on Thursday at 7 p.m. for another episode. Be sure to subscribe, like and follow us on Facebook and YouTube. Until then, stay safe and take care.